Hi, welcome if this is your first time, or welcome back. I'm so happy to be here with you whenever and wherever you are tuning in. And so, this video is a part of a series, a 90-day challenge I set for myself back in September. And the point was to practice speaking my truth and sharing my story. So, if this is something that you've been working on, exploring, struggling with, wondering about, I hope this is the sign or the push that you needed. I like to start each video sharing a practice, something that I do that's helpful for me. And so, as I read books, what I like to do is I use my camera app to copy and paste some text that stand out to me. And then I save a note based on each book. So, I'm reading Writing Creativity and Soul. So I have a separate note and I'm copying and pasting and referencing the page numbers as I'm copying and pasting. So this is something you may already be doing, but I just wanted to share it in the case you haven't. So there's that for your consideration. Take it if it resonates or leave it here if it doesn't. And then today I wanted to talk about some of the maybe realizations that I've had about um, some of the effects that I have on people. So this came up because last night I was having a very important conversation. Um, and the other person had said to me, um, I'm I'm feeling a little bit scared because um because you see me and you like understand kind of like what's going on or what I'm doing, I can't hide from you. And I do actually remember listening to plenty of readers talk about sort of this, they might have referred to it as a spiritual gift or an ability or just sort of an effect, right, that I have on people. But that because I'm able to sort of connect to who they are, I see them, I see their essence, I can get glimpses of it. And for somebody who's not quite ready to be seen or to be seen in that light, maybe they haven't quite embraced that part of them, or they haven't seen that part, or even just the idea of being seen, right? I had mentioned an Instagram post that I saw. I think it was Random Honesty, but I'll link it. Essentially saying that, we can choose to be involved with people who are unavailable because we actually, against the fact that we long to be seen, being seen can be scary and we can get hurt, right? And so it makes me think of that. Um, I was talking this morning uh, with my mom. I was sharing some exciting podcasts that one of my Rise and Thrives shared with me, and I was listening and getting excited and talking to her about it, to my mom about it. And then I shared with her, it was interesting. I shared with her a story from when I was a case manager, and I was assigned to work with this woman who was a single mom, and her and her daughter came into our program. And as we were working together for me to help connect her to resources, to do some psychoeducation, which is essentially, teaching maybe like stress management skills or breathing techniques or, informing her about something related to her psychological well being, her mental well being. And so as we worked together, I think she shared with me that she had felt really sensitive to energies and maybe spirits when she was younger, but because of her family and the values and the frameworks that they believed in, And, you know, the different maybe organizations or systems that they were a part of, um, they essentially oppressed, you know, these sensitivities, these abilities, and made her hide them. So, in working together, she somehow found a way to share it with me. And for some reason, we started talking about Reiki. And then I shared with her the teacher, the Reiki master from whom I had gotten my Reiki level one, um, and how it is or was at the time. I'm not sure if it still is donation based for those certifications. And so that allowed her to have access to learning this modality and then sharing it with her daughter. And then it was some time later, I ran into her. Um, we were no longer working together, but she came in and she just was so excited and she was lighting up about her experiences and learning Reiki and what it had done for her and her daughter. And it was just incredible. And so it made me think about some of my friends and the people that I've known, how they have felt comfortable talking to me about the spiritual topics, you know, whether or not I had ever shared my own experiences. And, you know, sometimes we would find out, like, oh, we have that in common. But, you know, I wonder if there is something about how my energy shows up that helps somebody to one feel comfortable and safe to be able to talk about things that they don't always talk about. And then I was wondering too, like, is there something about being a mirror to someone so that they can see, like, oh, maybe I have um, this potential, or maybe I have this ability, and maybe I'm able to help someone further explore it so that they can find out if it's something, you know, that they can develop and if they want to develop. But I mean, I think somehow that is um, like an ability, right? To kind of mirror and then maybe support somebody in their catalyst, or to support someone and catalyze them into taking further steps, even if I'm not the one teaching them or I'm not the one who's um, training them, right? So I was thinking about that as something. Um, yeah, I think too. I had gotten feedback from my twin, and he had shared with me, "Oh, you know, I'd love when my people meet you because you make them feel comfortable in the first 4 minutes." And very similar to me, like we sort of use random numbers as opposed to like 10 minutes, you know, some standard numbers. Anyways, but I was like, oh, okay, like it was helpful to hear. And I think it's connected to, you know, something that I was talking about in session with my therapist. And, you know, just trying to tune in to be aware of how I contribute or affect an interaction. Like if I am able to help them to feel relaxed as opposed to feeling stressed, and to be tuned in and aware. And I was like, okay, that's helpful. So that was another thing. And I know it's connected to some of the others. So yeah, it was kind of interesting just to reflect on that. I know a while back I did a video on different spiritual gifts, and um, just felt kind of curious as it came up yesterday and today, and maybe helping me to wonder if those are offerings or like a livelihood that I can take. Um, and then there, it was fun because as I was listening to one of the podcast episodes, I was like really excited and I was talking to my Rise and Thrive about this. And then for some reason I was like, oh, have you ever considered like being a naturopathic doctor? The episode was talking about traditional Chinese medicine. And so she was like, oh, I have had the thought. And then, very similar to my own experience, we both did not feel like science was our jam. Um, I, at the age of 9, felt like I just didn't understand it. So I was like, well, I can't be a doctor. But there was a time as an adult when I was sort of wondering and exploring different pathways for healing and helping others to heal. And I came across traditional Chinese medicine. I think I may have worked with a naturopathic doctor. And so I was sort of looking into that. But it's one of those things that I don't ever really talk about because I'm so used to not knowing what I want to be when I grow up, or, sort of always being in limbo with livelihood and work and career and not having it, that I'm like, yeah, I never, never considered that. And then it's really interesting. I was thinking about this because as Neptune stationed direct in Pisces in 29 degrees, and in January, essentially, it'll be in the sign of Aries, right? People have been talking about how, Neptune has been in the sign of Pisces since 2011. And then I was thinking about like what came about, what was going on in my life, like since 2011. And I was like, oh, that's when I started working full time, um, at the last nonprofit that I was at, where I was really struggling with work-life balance, like healthy work habits, sort of not processing work related trauma and a lot of different things. But I was like, oh, I have struggled with like work and career since 2011. And then right around that time, it also started and ended a relationship. And so since then have been on this like about like romantic relationships. So I'm curious what will happen when Neptune finally stations in the sign of Aries. We sort of get out of the cycle that I've been in the last 14 years, um, and then seeing if there can be shifts. So I'm interested in seeing. I'm interested in seeing what will play out. Hmm. That's what I've got for you. Yeah. Thanks for joining me, as always, witnessing what I decided to share today, and the ideas that I have may be very different from the ideas you've come across or that you've known. And so I appreciate you considering another perspective, holding space for another perspective. And I do hope that wherever you are able to tune in to who you are and shine your light. And I know there's a lot of different energies, there's a lot of different channels and the kinds of things that they talk about. And I appreciate you tuning into uh, something that I hope is sharing love and light, um, that is trying to raise the frequency of those who are watching and of the little part of the internet that I am able to exist in. So I am sending you a big hug. I hope you're doing well. And until next time, please take good care of yourself. Okay, bye bye.